Title I programs provide supplemental financial assistance to school districts for children from low income families or low income areas, right? But the question I have for you, do you think they're really going to end Title I?
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution. Too many problems, not enough solutions. So many billionaires that make no contributions. Gotta create fund and maintain our institution.
All right, listen up, y'all.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of All Things Education Official. I am your host and educator, DrAbdullah, giving you educational news from a foundational Black American man's perspective. If you like what you're seeing, you like what you're hearing, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. Subscribe, comment, like, and share. If you want to follow me on my social media handles, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, LinkedIn, and X. Today, we're going to delve into something that I'm very excited about because, as you grow in the field, you start to understand that things change because times change, and you got to roll with the punches if you want to make some changes in your community. And I have stumbled across this man. I mean, he's amazing in his perspective and what he's talking about, specifically when he talks about education. His name is Dave Anderson. Please look him up on social media, look him up on YouTube, and let's see what he has to say about the elimination of Title I in urban schools for Black American children.
When has Title I benefited Black American students by and large?
Never.
Never.
I taught at a Title I school.
Thank you.
Continue.
So now let's also look at the fact that people are so hyped up on talking points and not hyped up on possibilities. So let's deal in facts. Fact number one, the U.S. Department of Education has an annual budget of $90 billion. Why are there so many schools folding in Chicago, in Baltimore, in Atlanta, in Philadelphia? Why? $90 billion? And no, we know that because this is another thing people don't understand. The states primarily control the schools. The U.S. Department of Education just doles out money. Right. Now, the other part of that is, have you ever seen the movie Lean On Me? Who's the good guy in that movie?
It's not Joe Clark, is it?
Joe Clark is the villain.
Yeah.
You know who the good guy was? Lynn Thigpen's character. You want to know why? She was a concerned parent that kept coming to the school board like, yo, what are y'all doing? We need to get this dude out. He focusing on a test. My kids can't eat no test. Now, we have become a society of test takers and standard hitters, right? Because what it is for every kid, on average, we're looking between $30,000 to $50,000, depending on where you are, as long as you're in there. That's why those truancy laws are so important. That's why attendance is so important. It's not about creating great thinkers, because if you wanted to create great thinkers, then you'd have to go ahead and abolish the Rockefeller means of school, which has never, ever changed in the past 100 years.
Man, I'm telling you, I tell you this, and anyone who tells you they don't care what anyone thinks is a liar, especially if they are attempting to be a change agent or they want change for not only themselves but those around them. As men, we are providers. We like to give the best to our families, and because I look at the Black American community as extended family and my family, I want the best for them. But it does warm my heart to know that I'm not alone in the things I'm observing. Sometimes because you're presented with this will work for Black kids, you're that's pumped into you. When you decide that, or you come to the conclusion that it's not real, you start to feel like an outsider because everyone else still believes it. And Dave Anderson gets it right. I currently am in a Title I school. Every school I've ever worked at has been a Title I school, and I have never seen Title I programs truly move the needle. I've seen it work for select children, whose parents who potentially have bought into the process, who push their children. But those children were going to succeed regardless if Title I was there or not. But for the most part, Title I doesn't work. And what I want you to focus on is what he said. The states primarily run the schools already. And that's what I've been trying to tell people when they talk about abolishing the Department of Education. Only thing they're responsible for doing is doling out the money. That's all they're responsible for doing. They're not responsible for true policy changes, implementation of policies that will help Black American children. Our Black children are suffering and struggling under these antiquated processes, the old Rockefeller processes for education. And I'm telling you, the only way we're going to ever be able to do better is if we do it ourselves. But I want you to listen to what Jim Rohn has got to say about what I've always called my scorched earth policy, when he talks about what is it that he's going to do, what he does with zero.
But here's what I discovered about zero. It strips away all your pretenses. When you've got zero, you've got clarity. You see, when you're starting from zero, you don't have the luxury of fake solutions. You can't throw money at your problems. You can't rely on connections to open doors. All you've got is your mind, your time, and your two hands. And that, my friend, is pure power.
Listen, I say things now that if I would have been told these things 10 years ago, I would have called that person a coon. I would have called them a Sambo. I would have said, you don't want what's right for the black community. You want to take away everything. But I think we're in a space now where the pressure release valves that they give us, these small little crumbs off of the table, they're no longer feasible. It's not viable. It doesn't work for our children, which means essentially it doesn't work for our community. I believe that we need to be taken down to nothing so that we can create. One of my great heroes, Dr. Claude Anderson, always touts that we, after slavery, after emancipation, during Reconstruction, we had a percentage of a percent. That's all we had as our wealth as a community. And here it is in 2024, we still only have that same amount of wealth. Why? Because whenever we decide that we're going to do something great for ourselves, it's sabotaged. And then what do they give us in return? Trinkets, symbols. We're going to give you just enough so that you don't starve, but you're not eating enough to be strong enough to fight back. If we create what we need, I always say it, create, fund, maintain our own institutions. If we're able to do that by utilizing a voucher program, a school choice program, by creating our own institutions and leaning into those organizations and say, what are you doing? What is the Urban League doing as far as creating institutions? What are the Divine Nine doing? The NAACP, all these the Links, Jack and Jill, all of these organizations that do literally nothing on a mass scale. When we start to lean on them and say, you know what, if you're not helping us, you're hurting us, put their feet to the fire, stop relying on one symbolic politician to come in and be performative and sound good on camera. We don't need that anymore. What we need are people to come in and say, we need to create for ourselves. Once we create for ourselves, we'll be able to do for ourselves. And when we better do for ourselves, we can change the trajectory of where we are today. Right now, all I see is a heightened sense of entitlement. You should do this for me. You should do that for me. But no one asks the question, what are you doing for yourself? For Black community, I'm telling you, we have everything we need. We have thinkers and we have doers in our community. And we are being fed a bunch of lies by telling that we need to rely on someone else. I don't agree with it. I don't believe in it. And I see it every day by working in educational systems. Please get with your principals, get with your APs, get with your assistant superintendents, your chancellors, whoever it is in charge, and say, what do we need to do to move our children forward? And I guarantee you, they're going to point you in the direction that we've always been is, hey, well, we're trying to do this. We're trying to get more money for that. But they're not doing anything with the money because we're top heavy. We need to have a scorched earth policy. Once again, this is another episode of All Things Education Official. I'm your host and educator, DrAbdullah. Tell me what you think. Do you think we need to be taken down to zero? I'm talking getting rid of all the social programs. You know how I feel about DEI. You know how I feel about a lot of these social programs and these leg ups, these lifts up. It does not work. It requires us to do the work. You are dismissed.
Yeah! You are all expurgated.
Too much propaganda, spiritual pollution. Too many problems, not enough solutions. So many billionaires that make no contributions. Gotta create, fund, and maintain our institutions. Word to the masses, our government is backwards. Only thing I've learned is what a barrel and a crab is. Deploying all these tactics to keep us all distracted. Scrolling on our gadgets and we scroll right past it. While we caught up in the fashion, they sitting back laughing. This education we're lacking, all the laws they be passing. Peep the curriculum, you see they're subtracting. The necessary work, these kids mentally absent. Turned our full platform. plastic.